All right, so here in exercise 2, what we're going to do is we're going to import data into the Geodatabase. And for this, we're going to import two data sets into the Montgomery database, Geodatabase, the laterals and the owner data. Now, remember what we said in the last video. The owner data is an info table and the laterals are a coverage. So ordinarily, and again, these are the directions for ArcGIS Desktop, we're going to try to transition this over to ArcGIS Pro, which isn't so bad. We're going to basically right-click on the water feature data set, and then we're going to click on import and then multiple feature class importing. And again, you can look through these steps, but let's look at how we're going to do this in Arc. Now remember what I said, we don't see laterals here anywhere. What I do see though is I've got laterals here inside the ESRI geodatabase. There's our layers, there's the GDB, the geodatabase, there's the info directory, and then there's laterals. And again, as I said, this is the ARC attribute table. This is the ARC data that has the actual graphics. So let's right click and say import feature classes, and we'll let this fill itself in. Now it's going to put it into the water feature data set. That's why we right clicked from there. So where is this? Well, this is a little trick. I just pasted this in. Now here's my location, and we can click on it here too. I can say go to C, temp, ESRI, Geodatabase. We'll go in there, and then we can click on laterals. So I can copy that and put that in here, which I've done. And then I put the word ARC. Why? Because it's going to read this ARC ADF. And we'll end it with that. And I'll let this run. I'll talk through this. So we're gonna run this. So what's actually happening is the tool that was written in, or all the Python tools, are still obviously reading an ESRI coverage. It's just the interface for ArcGIS Pro is no longer supporting that, so you're never going to see a coverage. But it turns out this is a little trick that's going to allow us to still see it. So we're going to go back here and see if that actually worked. Let's go to our catalog, and I'm going to have to refresh Montgomery. And we open up water. Here's laterals ARC. And why don't we go into why don't we look at the metadata for that, and we can look at the geography. So these are the laterals, and we have the table information as well. If we look back in here, they're asking us to click on laterals and rename it by hitting F2. So that's something we can do. You can hit F2, or in case you wanted to, you can hold your mouse down for a little while, or you can right click and do a rename as well. So lots of different ways to do that. Let's do the F2, and I'm going to call that laterals. And now I have the new name. Now the next thing we're going to do is create aliases for each of the fields. This is a little different though. In ArcGIS Desktop, you were to right click on the laterals feature class and click on properties. That's not going to get you where you need to go. So I'm going to click here, properties. At least I don't see it. Right? So that's not there. This has changed a little bit. I'm going to right click and now go to design, and then let's go to fields. So now I can look at the field names inside the feature class for laterals. And what they're asking us to do is create an alias for each of those fields. So here for shape, geometry field. For depth, BURI, depth buried. So let's come back in here. Shape, the alias is now geometry field. And then we can go down to where it says depth buried, which is here. And again, I'll just hold down my mouse, and I'm going to say depth buried. And then again, we can go through all the rest. So I'm going to have you do the rest. So recorded _L, facility _L, type code, and all of those. So go in and just do what we did before. Again, recorded L, and we can just say recorded length. So finish that up, and we'll get back in with the video. So that was done. I've got all those different things in here now, like subtype code. The next thing is When you're done, they say click OK. I don't see OK anywhere. What we do have now in the new interface for the fields is the ability to save it. So I'm going to click Save, and that's going to apply the changes to this table. So now my now my alias codes are all in there. So the next thing is we're going to import the owner.dat file. Same as before. This is an info table. There's no record of this anywhere inside of the Geodatabase. So, and there actually is no record of it really inside the folder structure. It's buried in this info directory, but again, the good thing is ArcGIS is going to read that if we give it the right location. So again, we'll come in here and they're going to right click the Montgomery Geodatabase and import a table. Now they're going to ask us to drag and drop the owner.dat info file. We don't see that. We're going to have to type that in the way we did before. So let's come into our Montgomery Geodatabase and then click import, and we're going to import a table. Now I've gone ahead and filled out some of this, and again, C temp ESRI underscore geodatabase owners.dat. Again, we can't see it, but we know enough. We have enough smarts to know that that's where it is. So we're kind of force feeding that there. So I'm going to hit run, and we'll let this go for just a moment. And that's done. So let's go back to our Geodatabase again, and we'll refresh things. And now you can see we have the owners table, and we can go and view the metadata for that table as well. So this is the information that's inside the owners table. And you can see the different names as well as deed date and other things that are associated with it. And again, we're going to right click on those owners and go to design and then go to fields. So these are the individual fields for the owners table. And they're going to ask us now to enter these different alias names for the different fields. So for object ID, we'll call this object identifier. So here again, we'll change this object identifier. So that's done. We can come back owner name, owner underscore name. We're just going to call that owner name. And you get the idea. So why don't you finish out the rest of these as well, and we're going to move on to our next lecture for creating subtypes and attribute domains.